All right. So now that you have your little people in your InDesign file, that's great. You can choose whether or not you're going to leave them in your site plan or only save them for your circulation drawing. I'll leave that up to you. But the next step is to bring in your your section cut lines. All right. So using your original section cut lines from before, just save the boundary and, using that boundary, copy and paste it to the site plan that you just created. And then just paste them in there. Um, I would advise you to create a new layer for section cut lines. So just, add a new layer, label it labels, and label it section cut lines. And, select all of those lines, go to the properties, and just change the layer to section cut lines. Okay. You can also right click and change it to layer. And then just make sure that you have a line weight on it. I just put it as one for now, not essential. That's something that we can edit in Illustrator, so not too concerned. For the circulation diagram, I'm just going to draw it directly on here. And what we're going to do is I'm actually going to change this labels, rename this to section cut labels, because I'm going to make a new layer for circulation and circulation labels. So circ lines and circ labels. Okay. I'm gonna make both of these goodness. This and this. I'm gonna make them both continuous. That's fine for right now. And default, we'll leave it as default for right now. Um, just make sure that you're in that layer. I'm gonna change the color of it just so I can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to, figure out where my start point is and then figure out where my end point is. All right, so if I am saying that I start entering my site over here under my little bridge, let me just show my base picture. Yeah. So if I'm going to start my point over here, just going to draw a circle for reference. If this is my start point, I'm going to show how I'm going to get throughout the site from there. All right, my different exits. And I'm going to use curve to do this. All right, and for this, try to make sure that you are, actually drawing on the same plane as your lines. It's not always easy, but we have the in point and the out point. So this is my most direct route. So this is just people that aren't sure they want to stay and hang out at my park. They're just going in and going out. All right, so that's path one. All right, so I can go into my labels and I'll also make that a unique color. And in my labels layer, I'm just actually going to copy this text. And I'm going to call this path Z. I don't know, why not? All right, my picture label is getting confusing, so I'm just locked it. So now I'm just gonna click here and I'll call this circulation route Z. All right, and I'll explain later that Z is my most direct route of travel. Is this a caps? Yes, okay, good. So route Z, I'm gonna change it to this layer, sorry, change object layer. So route Z is accounted for. All right, and later in Illustrator, I will put an arrow on this end and a circle on this end to show that's start and that's end. All right, now I'm going to make another curve layer, another curve circulation line. Make sure that you're in the circle lines layer. And so from my entry point over here, maybe I'm going to show myself climbing up here, going the long way around site and into this space. All right, just hanging out there. Maybe I have another route also going up here, but it's curving this way. So go out this exit. All right, maybe I have another route that takes me through this passageway. And I'm just, clicking a bunch of fit points. But now I'm underground. All right, so what I'm actually going to do is get rid of this fit point. Let's see if I need it. Nope, I did not need it. And I'm going to split this line so that I can make this a dashed line. So I'm going to make a new line for circ hidden. And I'll make that a lighter type of orange. All right, so I'm going to grab this curve, split it with this line. So now this cut line, I'm going to change to circ hidden, change object layer. And instead of continuous, it's going to be a hidden line. Okay. So anywhere that I go under, I think I should do that. So let's do the same rule here and here. We're going to split these two lines, and this top layer is going to be our splitting tool. So this line and that line are both going to change to circ hidden, change object layer. Same situation here. Anything that goes under this will be trimmed. So select this, select that, split, select my cutting tool right there, and I will just change those layers to hidden. Change object layer. Perfect. All right, now I'm going to show how I activate this side of the site. So curve, also from here. Okay, and this line I'm going to split from this plane, change object layer. All right, so maybe we're going to do a route that is a little bit more fun. So maybe we're going to walk over the bridge. So we need to show how you get there. So I'm going to make another line, another curve from my start point. And maybe if we have multiple, start points, maybe we can just move them all to share one point. But this, I'm going to step up. And a lot of you have already integrated stairs into your design, so I'm very excited to see that. And just imagine me walking up on top of this bridge and totally, thriving. Maybe I do a little spin because I'm having a party up here. And maybe that's it for me. All right, so this route, it's a little hidden down here, so I'm going to trim that portion of the line because it goes under the bridge to then get over the bridge. So I'm going to split it here. And this part of the line, I'm going to change to hidden, change object layer. All right, everything else is going to be joined back together. All right, and so now let's fix that little start point, end point situation where we have everything starting from my start point. So maybe I will turn my center point on the O-snaps, and I will just gradually grab these points and move them into that center. All right, so one by one, move the point to the center point. So for this design, everything is going to enter that one point. All right, this one's a little bit more fickly. All right, so start point, end points. Okay, so, obviously this is not going to capture all the different circulation routes, but this is just showing how one would get to the different program spaces that are designed within your site, how they would get onto some of the bridges that you all created, or, just things like that. All right, so I'm just going to copy Z and paste it at the ends here. And just for reference, we can see how some of the other student examples did this. Called it path 1, 2, 3. You could do that as well if you want to number them, keep them out of the new, alphabetical system. And show the little branches away. If you change your mind and you go around a long way. What I want to capture with these different lines is what is your your fast path of travel, and what is your slow path of travel, right? Because we have different velocities, based on regular foot traffic. Maybe there's bicycle traffic, all sorts of things. All right. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep copying this. I actually don't think that's a bad idea, so I'm going to label these. All right. So label them as numbers. Uh, and just make sure you put a label on each of these endpoints and try to keep it within the previous alignment here. All right. So this, just because we know where our borders are and we don't want it to get chopped off when we import it to InDesign. Let's see, what else do we have? We have this route. All right, so this is technically still route number 1 because that's our most direct path through the site. And because these all start at this one start point, I'm going to call it actually 1A. And then, so on. Maybe this one's 1A because it's another short route, 1A. So use discretion when you're naming these. Like everything that you do should have a reason. So if you're going to label one, 1Z and then one you're going to label 4, just tell me why it's labeled 4. All right, so that's 1A, 1B. This could be 1C. And this one could be 1D. All right, if I somehow entered my site from this route, I can, call that completely different number. Maybe that one will be route C. I'm sorry, or route 3. All right, so I'm going under the bridge and I want to go from this plane to the plane across the way. So I go down at some point, and then I find my way up. Just because I'm taking the scenic route, and then out again. All right. Again, I want to make sure that my labels here are all aligned. So please do that. No one likes things out of alignment, especially when it's accidental. All right, so this will be route. Oh, technically it's route. Yeah, this is still supposed to be 1. All right, if that's 1D, this will be 1E. All right, you see, it can get a little confusing, but just come up with the system. So this I'm actually going to label route 2. All right, I'm going to make sure that route 2 gets captured over here as well. And I want to make sure that it does not go higher than this line, so I'm going to trim that little extension there. All right, so now route 2 is aligned. Route 1 has many different options. I don't need this little circle here. And you can make all sorts of breakaways from this. Okay? So the point is just to have a little bit of fun with your circulation. You can add more people based on your diagrams. Like maybe I need more people at the top of this bridge over here because it seems to be a fun space with this little swirl. All right, quick little gumball tool. Great. So I'm going to take this, file, export selected, site plan example, circulation. All right, oops, and you see I forgot to change the color of my lines. So I'm just going to print this, but I'm going to correct that. So all these hidden in labels, that has to change. So I'll make it black for now. I know that the hidden line is probably does not need to be the full black. So I'm going to make it dark gray. All right, and we'll do that again. Oh, and yep, good, good, good. Okay. File, export selected, circulation, replace. Good. Now everything's black and white. All right. The fun thing about using these labels, or these layers, I mean, is that you can just hide things when you don't need them. So if I was in my default layer, for example, I could just turn off these circ lines, and I could even turn off my people. And I could just have my regular site plan. So if you don't want people in your site plan, you just go back here, file, export selected, and you replace your regular site plan. Okay. Um, Turn it back on for your circulation diagrams. And yeah, so in InDesign, my site plan no longer has people in it, which is totally fine. But I know that this exact layout is what I need for my circulation diagram. So I'm going to copy this and Control Shift Alt V to paste it. And I'm going to change my drawing link, which is right here, to my circulation diagram and see if I can change that guy. Let's see. All right, that seemed to have worked. I'm going to do the same thing here. Copy, Control Shift Alt V, pressing all those keys at once. Click the drawing, Control D, click circulation, and voila, it's there. So if I find that some of these, let's do Shift W. If I want to change these line weights because I want to, better define what's the most direct route, what's the, secondary routes and, things like that. It looks a little confusing right now because we have a lot of lines overlapping here. Something easy that we could do is take this into Illustrator. This is the site plan. If you wanted to change your section lines, you can do that. But I'm going to open a new file. And this time I'm going to open the circulation drawing. And clicking each of these lines, I'm going to have it adjusted. So I know that line 1 and line 1 are the same. So they should probably have the same line weight, right? And this is going to be my primary path. So this is going to be the widest line or the thickest line. And so it's going to be dashed, but I don't want it to just be, 12 point. I kind of want it to be more of a dot. So let's see how that looks. So let's see 0.5, how that looks. Oh, make sure you select your line first before you try to change. 0.5. So now it looks more like a dot. Maybe it's 0.25 would be better. Yeah, I'm trying to make these a dotted line instead. All right, I like that. So now my gap, I can make 2, and now I have a dotted line path. All right, maybe I want to make this gap a little bit wider. And so that's a 5-point gap. All right, that doesn't feel like the primary circulation route, so maybe you don't want to do that with your high traffic place. Maybe that's just going to be the regular solid line, and that's fine. But maybe one of these, line two, or you know, one of the many lines that start from the same point, maybe those become the dotted line. All right. And just make sure whatever you do to your primary line, you adapt it with the hidden lines. Okay, just to keep it consistent. All right. So let's see. You know that that's a hidden line. There's nothing you can really do there. This one should have been trimmed to a hidden line, but it didn't, and that's okay. I'm gonna make this one that dashed line then. All right, but I think that that's a little too small, so I'm gonna increase that to 1. Maybe I'm gonna increase that to 2. Okay. Yep, that feels nice. All right, just because that's the very scenic route. All right, this is gonna be the fun route. So maybe this dash line has a gap, and then we have another dash, which is 0.1 long, or 1 long, and then 5. And let's see what that does. All right, so that's an interesting little thing. All right, another different line type, and I could define what that's about. All right, so all these fun little things are ways that we can better explain our stories, how we get from one point to the other. So just don't be, you know, too afraid to try something new when it comes to a circulation path. Maybe these both are 0.5, not full 5, and maybe they're gentle dashes. Um, Maybe it will be 2 of these dots and then a 3-point dash. Let's see. Let's see how that looks. All right, maybe that's another line type. So, just have a little bit of fun with it. It's gonna be messy. It's not gonna be perfect, but that's okay. As long as you can try to emphasize your paths of travel, um, and the different, levels of importance, that's what I really want to see. All right, so let's just make that a general dashed 2, 1, 5. And let's see. Fun. Okay. All right. So you see, very, very simple. This actually feels like a pretty direct route, so I'm going to change that to 1. All right, little things. All right, so now I want you to think about your legend, and some of the places of importance. So feel free to add some text to your Illustrator file, and maybe you want to put symbols like a $sign for one type of use. And let's just increase this to something a little bit larger. All right, so let's say that you're supposed to buy something in here. All right, let's say you have a different type of use in the space over here. So maybe, you'll come up with something. Maybe this is a reading room or of some sort. All right, but that looks a little small, so maybe you want to increase that one to a bigger size. And these are things that you can do in Rhino as well. So if this seems a little complicated for you and you're more comfortable with labeling in Rhino, go for it. It's just regular symbols that are on your keyboard. All right, and maybe in this space, what's my symbol going to be? This could be an @ symbol. All right, but now that's a little too big. So I'm going to bring that back down to the 24. All right, and so then you'll prepare a legend, and you could do the legend in InDesign, that's fine. And you're going to call out what does the star mean, what does the @ symbol mean, and what does the $ mean. Okay? So yep, we're just going to do Control S for file save. Oh, do not forget to put on your arrows on your lines, okay? So your arrowheads, when you click on your stroke, you could just change the arrowhead there. Or you can have a simple little arrowhead. You can increase the scale of it. You can make it bigger or smaller. All right, you see I'm just changing the end of the arrowhead. And maybe I want to move these letters over so that the arrowhead can breathe a little bit. Dash lines are not as easy to make your arrowheads, but just try your best. You might have to do is increase the scale, but that's fine. Okay, so let's see. Yep. So we went over how to put your arrowheads in. This one we're gonna put another one. Make that arrowhead. All right, try to pick the same arrowhead for everything, just because you don't want it to be messy. So if I did 12 for the others, I want to do that here as well, but maybe I don't need that arrowhead to be as large, so maybe I could change that size to 50. All right, it's going to be based on your line type scale, so that's why I did that. All right, and maybe here at the end of one, instead of an arrowhead, I'm just going to have a dot to show that it is the start point. Okay? Same with number 2. If I know that 2 exits over there, this start point, I can make it as a circle. All right, but let's reduce that scale to 50 so that it matches the other one. Yep. Okay. So let's just do a file save. We're gonna reload it in Illustrator. I'm sorry, in InDesign. And now I have a very, very activated circulation plane. All right. If you're gonna add your legend here, you can just make a text box. Legend. This means it is a reading room. This is the cafe. And @ is the, let's see, what is going to be in the @ that is going to be the art studio. All right, so just make sure that they're spaced the same way. Try to get everything to line up, and then make sure you match your font to the rest of the font in the project. So I think we used Arial for everything else. Let me just double check. Yep, we used Arial regular. All right, so my legend will be in Arial. And maybe this I want to underline. So my type. Yep, good. And we'll just pop in a simple, see what else, what else, what else. Maybe we'll make it bold so it stands out a little bit more. And maybe we'll widen it. I don't know. I don't like that as much. Anyways, when you add your text, just, try and keep it nice and clean. You can add another frame so that it has a white background. So here you just make it white. You change it right here in color. Just pick white, or I guess I clicked black, but just click white and make sure that it goes behind your text. So this arrange, bring to front, send to this box behind it, and that is it. This text is a little tall, but that's okay. You can adjust it as needed. Maybe I want to just keep it here. Yeah. Okay. So that's what I want to see. I'm gonna try and center these. Definitely not perfect. We can make it perfect though. But am I going to? No, it's fine. Just drop in your legend. Make it a smaller text than this because we don't want it to take away from the page itself. So maybe making it 9 is better and just reduce the frame around it. Okay? All right, very simple. And then you'll just export these with the rest of your file. Do a control file save, and when it prints, you'll just combine them, and that'll be it. Okay? Thank you.